All right, let's look at white and black, who are Silverquills. Okay, exhilarating elocution. Elocution. Put 2 counters on target creature you control. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 until the turn. This is the third card in this set that does this. Like, one is a lesson, right? One is expanded anatomy, and the other one is essence infusion. Like, I don't know why I'm putting 2 counters on my creature so much. I'd really rather not. I'd really rather not. It's either a 3 or a 4, I think. I don't really want anything to do with this. 5 mana, 3/3 flying, ward, pay 3 life. Yeah, I'm not impressed. 5 mana, 3/3 flyers are just not where I want to be. Yeah, I don't really want anything to do with this, do I? This is not, yeah. This is whatever. The baseline is 4 mana 3/2 flyer. This is like, this isn't even as good as a 4 mana 3/2 flyer. This feels like maybe a 5. Like, you're probably fine with it being as your 23rd card, maybe. Maybe you're not. Maybe this is a 4. Yeah, this is probably a 4. You don't feel disappointed not playing this card. Exile target creature. Exile up to 1 target instant or sorcery from a graveyard. Wow. Learn. This is good. This is good. Yeah, this is an 8. You're always gonna play this, right? I think if it didn't cost 6, it'd be a 9. But I think this is an 8. Well, it says up to 1 target, so you don't have to if you don't want to. Something to keep in mind that if you're not familiar with the rules, they changed the rules 13 years ago. If you exile a lesson from your graveyard, you cannot learn it back with this card. From the text of the card, you would think that you could. It's like, oh, I kill your creature, I exile my lesson, and then I go get my lesson back, right? You would think that's what was going on, but that's not what's going on. That's not how it works. Lessons need to start outside the game, and once you get them, even if you exile them, they're not coming back. Yeah, exile is not an outside of the game zone, despite it clearly being like removed from the game. They're cutting corners there, saying removed from the game is different from the outside the game, but whatever. So, if you're a paper booner like myself, who played 13 years ago and remembers like Mirari Cunning Wish is what somebody, or like Cunning Wishing for Elephant Ambushes to flashback, you can't do that. Silverquill Pledge Mage. 3 cost 3/1. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, it gains your choice of flying or of lifelink. Yuck. This is like a 4? A 3? A 5? I mean, I guess if I put a counter on, if I put a 2 +1/+1 counters on it, I guess it's... Here's the thing, right? It's difficult to think about this card because until you open your seal deck and you realize like how many cards have life as a cost, right? I'm uncertain whether like you can actually channel your lifelink. Like if you have more than 20 life, can you channel that into something useful other than just like being happy you have more than 20 life? I think this is pretty unlikely to make your deck concealed. You like it at 5? I think this is a 4. I think this is a 4. But it's actually hard to cast as well. If you're not playing exactly white-black. If you're not playing Silverquill, this card's just like unplayable. Like, in the previous format, there was a 3 cost 3/1 lifelink, and that card was a straight 4 out of 10. And I think this card's worse than that. So. Spiteful Squad. 4 mana Death Touch. 0/0. When it enters the battlefield, with 2 counters on it. Okay, so it's a 4 mana 2/2. And when it dies, put a counter on target creature you control. Okay, this is a cool card. This is a cool card. I might actually splash for this. Like, I feel like you're going to attack with this, and your opponent's just not going to block it. Because they can't. Right? Yeah, this is a solid card. This is a 7. Solid card. Closing statement. It costs 2 less if you cast it during your end step. Destroy target creature or planeswalker you don't control. Put a counter on up to 1 creature. This card is great. Wow. That's very flavorful that it costs 3 on your end step specifically. But I think you're gonna cast this for 5. This feels like a 9. You're gonna splash for this. This is gonna be I'm gonna get blown up by this so much. This is a 9. Yeah, I'm casting this for 5 on my opponent's attack step. That's my closing statement. Wow, this card's great. Cool. No, this is a 9. You would I feel like if you open closing statement, you're always gonna play it. Unless you're like green, blue, red, you're playing this card in your deck. So destroy target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker? What? Alright, it's a 2. This is secretly disenchant. So. Yeah, the red-white one is deal 3 damage to any target, to creature or planeswalker, right? And then artifact or enchantment. Yeah, it is weird. You are right that it is weird to have Fracture and Rip Apart in the same set. That is super weird. I agree. That feels like a card that should have just been in a different set. I don't know why it's in this one. Humiliate. Target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Put a counter on a creature you control. Oh, this card's great. This is a 7. 7 or an 8. It's probably a 7. Maybe it's an 8. But like the thing is, I think this is a 7 because on turn 2 it's not gonna put a counter on something, right? So yeah, this is good. You're always gonna play it. I probably wouldn't splash for it. So I think it's a 7. Killian Ink Duelist. 2/2 lifelink for 2. Menace. Ooh. Spells you cast a target a creature costs 2 less to cast. This card's great. To kill your opponent's creature costs 2 less. To buff your creature costs 2 less. This card is great. It kind of hard counters ward as well, right? The ward that makes you pay 2 more to a spell. Oh no, it doesn't. Oh no, it doesn't actually. Because if your spell costs 2 mana and you target a card that has ward, your spell still costs 2 mana. Like if it costs like white black, it still costs 2 mana, then you still have to pay 2 mana for the ward. It doesn't even counter ward, actually. Yeah, it's because they worded ward in a way that I really don't like. I'm sure there's a rules reason why they did it. They made it a trigger instead of just costing 2 more, which I think is silly. But yeah, I like this. This is an 8. This is cool. Yeah, ward doesn't matter. I agree. Alright, whenever another creature you control with flying dies, put a counter on target creature you control. What? Didn't they print this before? This was the 4 mana 2/2 before, right? This is strong? I don't agree. This is like a 6. This is a 5 or a 6. Yeah, it was some soul catcher, right? Yeah, you're right. It was like some sort of soul catcher. Yeah, it was a 2 mana 1/1 before. But this countered your opponent's cards, so it was like pretty sweet. This is not exciting. This is probably a 5. You can choose where the counter goes. Yeah, I'm not impressed. Not impressed. It's a Windrake Plus for sure. Maybe it's a 4. It's a hard to cast Windrake Plus. Yeah, maybe it's a 4. Kind of off it. I agree, it's probably going to be a Windrake 80% of the time. I agree with that. Hard to cast Windrake. Silverquill Apprentice. Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy, target creature gets +1. What? Why is this an uncommon? Oh, but it says target? Yuck. Yeah, I mean, this is a white... This was... Was it this? No, it wasn't Guiding Voice. It was Eager First Year. Yeah. This is Eager First Year. I know this says target. It's also harder to cast. This feels like a common. This is like a 4 or a 5. This is whatever. If you have this in attack, do they block? If your opponent has a 2/2 and you have this and then you attack, will they block? Yes. Why wouldn't they? You're saying if you have a Silverquill Apprentice and they have a 3/3, do they block? Yes. Why wouldn't they? If it gave +1/+1, then it's a different story. This is like a 7 out of 10 if it gave +1/+1. Maybe even 8 out of 10 if it's a +1/+1. Probably a 7. But it doesn't. It gets +1/0. It's whatever. Creature tokens you control get +1/+1. Okay. Whenever one or more non-token creatures you control die, create a 2/1 white and black Inkling token and creature with flying. Yuck. This was a card in the past. It was a 5-cost enchantment. That whenever one of your creatures died, make a 2/2. And that card was terrible. So... This makes a 3/2 once per turn. Yeah, you only got 1 a turn. You attack with 3 creatures, your opponent blocks with 3 creatures, they trade, you only get 1 3/2 flyer. The fact that it's an enchantment and Magecraft doesn't work off enchantments is kind of bad too. It's not like it's prowess. You think the baseline for this is 4 mana 3/2 flyer? Not on turn 4, it's not. If you're exactly a white-black deck and you play this on turn 4, it's not a 3/2 flyer. You might get a 3/2 flyer by turn 6. I know it's not 4 mana Zarth. I'm talking about best case scenario. I'm trying to talk myself into thinking like, why would I want everyone to play this card? This is probably a 4 or a 5. The thing is, I think this is a 3-color sealed format. And you're not going to play this in your 3-color deck. You're just not. So I think it's a 5 because it's going to be your 20th card in your black-white deck. And I think that's fine. That's a definition of a 5 out of 10. Alright. Choose 2. Oh, sorcery. Choose 2. Target creature gets +2/+3 and flying. No. Return target creature with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. No. Target player draws a card and loses 1 life. Target opponent sacks a creature. I don't think you splash for this. Maybe you do. Maybe the 3 and 4 mode of you draw a card, they sack a creature. Maybe you splash for that. It's probably a 7. This card is never gonna be dead. It's never gonna be dead. So the fact that there's no pacifism in this format to screw up edicts makes edicts better, right? Well, if it was Sign of Blood, it would need to cost 5, but yeah. It's an extra 4. It can. If your opponent's at 7, this can kill them. You have like a 3/3 and they're at 7, and this kills them because you make them draw a card and you give your 3/3 +3/+3 and flying, right? It gives white-black some reach, which is nice because they have like a black and white Silverquill seems to have like a theme where they put a lot of counters on one creature. So like maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. I think a 7 is a good one for this. As Silverquill Silencer enters the battlefield, choose an online card name. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with a chosen name, they lose 3 life and you draw a card. Yuck. Oh, it's a 2-mana 3/2. Okay. No, it's a 2-mana 3/2. It's way above rate. You would just play this as a 2-mana 3/2. But you can name a lesson, right? When your opponent learns, they reveal the lesson and put it into their hand, so they can just like name a lesson. And what are they gonna do? Not play it, right? I mean, I guess. I like it. It is a 6. It's way better than this idiot. It's way better than this. Vanishing Verse. Exile target monocolored permanent. Yeah. There's a lot of gold in this set, but yeah. No, it can't. Lands have no color. They are a non-colored permanent. Fractals are green and blue. So it doesn't do anything with that. It's like an ultimate price, right? It's just ultimate price. No, it's literally just ultimate price. It's just what it is. And ultimate price was like medium minus. You bordered it out sometimes. But you still main deck it, so. Create X tapped 2/1 white and black inkling tokens with flying. If X is 6 or more, destroy all non-creature, non-land. Oh, I thought it was destroy all creatures. So you pay 7 mana for 5/2/1 flyers. You pay 8 mana for 6/2/1 flyers, and you just also blow up stuff. This seems like a 9 or a 10. Because even like a 3 mana 2/1 flyer is good, a 4 mana for a pair 2/1 flyers is good, 5 mana for 3/2/1 flyers is good. Like this is literally good at all points, right? This feels like a 10. You always splash for this. It's not Martial Coup. It doesn't kill creatures. Oh, it makes them tapped. You're right. It does make them tapped, so you can't block with them. You're right about that. It's as close to a 10 as you can be. I think it's a 10. I think we're doing it a disservice, but I guess if it was untapped, it would be a 10. The fact that they're tapped is a 9. You're right. The tapped part is the part that makes it a 9. It's a high 9. It's a high 9. It might be a 10. But it has the qualities of a 10. Because your opponent, like a Terminate doesn't beat it, and it can single-handedly win the game. So I think I have to make it a 10. I'm going to make it a 10. Double Strike. 4 mana cost, 2/4 Double Strike. Magecraft. Whenever you cast additional sorcery, return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. Yeah. Awaken the Blood Avatar. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. It costs 2 less for each creature sacrificed this way, so I can sacrifice 3 creatures to make it a black-red card. Okay. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Create a 3/6 black and red avatar creature token with haste. When this creature attacks, it deals 3 damage to each opponent. So it makes a 6/6 haste. This is like a 9. Might be a 10. It's close. It's a 9. Probably. Maybe it's a 10. It pays rent every turn, right? It's just like a value creature that pays rent every turn. It's a 9. It still just dies to a Terminate, so most halves do. Flying Double Strike. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may choose 2. Each mode must target a different player. Target player creates a 2/1. Target player draws a card and loses 1 life. Target player puts a counter on each creature they control. Okay, so basically, unless your opponent's on 1 life, you choose one of those every the turn you play it and every turn afterwards, you choose one of those to do. Yeah, it triggers. You play his first main phase, it happens immediately. So it's a 3/6. Put a counter on all your creatures. Double strike. Oh, it doesn't say up to 2. Oh, no. It doesn't say... It says you have to choose 2. It's 0 or 2. Oh. Oh. Yikes. That's a yikes. I mean, even a 5-mana 2/5 double strike, you would just play it as a... Even if it didn't have any text. This is probably a 9. But it's still yikes. It's just a giant idiot creature that pays rent every turn, including the turn you play it, so... But it could backfire. So... What a weird card. Because if you give them a 2/1 and draw a card, or if you give them a 2/1 and you put a counter on your creatures, like, you're giving them a bunch of life, but maybe that's fine. Yeah. Weird card. Alright, that's white and black. White and black has a lot of, like, medium minus cards and a lot of really good cards. But I didn't see any ways to really draw cards, did I? They have a lot of removal spells. A ton of terminate hits, which is typical on white-black for sealed. But not having any draw twos is kind of, I don't know about that. But they might have the best card in the format and blot the sky.